What's up, YouTube? This your boy, Civil Wolf TV. We back again with my main man, OG Frank Nitty. Nitty, what's going on, baby? How you been?
Man, what's going on YouTube? Man, I've been good, man. As always, man, I open up by asking everybody to join in on my campaign, man, to free my little brothers, Porky and Purple, two real bloods doing real blood things. Now, as I remember, the last time I spoke with y'all, I believe it was concerning some of the things I've seen in prison as far as the fights and the legendary fights and things of that nature. Well, some of the best ones to guys in prison is when a guard has just been begging for it for a minute. See, because for guys who have been locked up before and things of that, unfortunately, the guys who was getting bullied in school and you know they were getting their girlfriends took and things of that nature, right? And even the females that some of them was scorned by their baby fathers or some guy, right? They feel like they got mistreated by. You know, they are now correctional officers, right? And it's like, it's almost like revenge of not revenge of the nerds, like they used to say, but revenge of the scorn and the bitch ass motherfuckers, right? Now, it's I know some people say, oh my God, why he say that? He ain't learned nothing. But I mean, I'm sure that almost everything I say is going to be criticized in some shape, form, or fashion because this is supposed to be raw and uncut, right? So I'm not really, I know there's certain things I can't say, but I'm going to give you all the truth about things right in there. And one of the things I wanted to do before we go into it, I want to have a little session on pointing out rats, right? Now, you got a dude in the Maryland Department of Correction by the name of Walter Hall. He is by far the biggest rat. Fuck the Master Splinter and all that shit other motherfuckers like to say. He is up there in the names, and he like the Hall of Fame of rats. Right, he up there with the Rafe Edmonds, the Joe Falachis, and you know, and the Sammy the Bulls. He up there, right? And it is sad, but it's true. But I just want like anybody to know this motherfucker or ever been anywhere in the Maryland system. He not one of the biggest rat, the biggest rat in the system. So anyway.
Take you back to the corrections office. You said the corrections office, they was a lot of them was scorned.
Yeah,
and having problems that made them act a certain way when I was in prison towards the inmates.
Right, because it was like get back for them. Right, it's like because all correctional officers in any jail, don't make a difference what jail it's in, they move like a gang. Right, and which is crazy because they condemning a gang, but the gang culture in there, but they move as a gang themselves. And it is nothing worse than giving somebody who is undeserving of power, actual power. Right? Because it's to the point that they would immediately abuse it. Right, me, I never been a bully, right? I know some people probably would think so, but and the times that people probably would think so is that I was somebody who liked to bully the bully, cause I didn't like bullies, right? I didn't like bullies, so I was always trying to be. Now as I came of age or came upon this persona of mine as Frank Nitty, I really learned to despise people like that. I think that's the best way to put it. I learned to despise people like that because I seen them as only preying on the weak. You know, when I was coming up, especially when I was younger in prison, it was like you got your reputation off your battles, right? Like, and they had to been somebody of worth or name or reputation, right? For other people to say, well, boy, hey, like, I was about betting on that one, boy, because this is gonna be a good one, boy. Both of them, they can get down, and that's how I was taught to be. You go after the big names, right? The people who's supposed to be somebody, this and that, because in prison, reputation is power, right? A lot of people, you know, they don't care about reputation. They, oh man, I don't care what I think, and it's accepted. Sadly, it's accepted because you got guys go out there and tell on a guy in the Baltimore City Circuit Courts at 9:30 and come back out at 11:30 and go back on the strips and later on that night he hitting the strip clubs, he holler at all the girls. And it's accepted by those who are just like him, whether they did it yet or not, right? But it's accepted by them because he's not shunned. When I was coming up, you know, you had to be one or the other. It wasn't a gray area as it seems to be now, right? You was either in the streets or you wasn't. Plain and simple. You couldn't be like some of these rappers and athletes who are multi-millionaires, right? They still like, boy, I'm still in the trap. Like, the fuck is you still in the trap for? Then you should be getting as far away from the fucking trap as you can. Because eventually, nigga, you a walking lick. You a walking bag. Somebody coming. So at least have enough sense to put yourself out of reach of that shit. And if the trap mean that much to you, man, buy that motherfucker. They say that's what 2 Chainz did. Buy that motherfucker. If hold it as a monument. Do whatever the fuck you want to. But I don't understand, you know, guys like it just be crazy to me. But back to correctional officers, a lot of them, they did a lot of punk shit, right? And I guess they would probably say that to their bullies, you know, you're doing a lot of punk shit. But I mean, they had a real passion for it, right? And sadly enough, the black was worse than the whites. And I come from up North Branch, and them some racist motherfuckers, man. They probably some of the most racist. Cumberland, Maryland is probably one of the most racist places in the country.
Can you give me an example of what you had, the experience you had with them?
Well, one time, cause they call you a nigga in a minute, right? They call you a nigga in a minute.
And what's that? Because I know you've been in a suburb in the state of Maryland. You know, what I mean, you've been to the Supermax, the Cut. I've been to Jessup. Yeah, I've been Cumberland. I've been Cumberland. I've been to Maryland Penitentiary. I mean, like I said, the Cut. I've been in the new jail before. Not on this last bit, but on my first one, I've been in the new jail. I've been to Roxbury, man. Pretty much, I've been to everywhere besides ECI and Patuxent, right? So, anyway, you be having these motherfuckers in there, man, and like the ones up Cumberland, they were so racist. I never forget the chump name. I mean, I don't remember his name, but I never forget this shit. We stand there, I'm getting ready to go on sick call, right? And of course, you know, up there, that's an Ultramax. So I got on handcuffs behind my back. He said, man, you know, he said, man, believe it or not, I live in this spot called Nigger Mountain. He said, man, would you believe that? I said, sure I would. Because I live on the street called Killer Stupid Cracked Avenue. And we just sat there and glared at each other for a minute. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm saying, okay, your turn. Right? So, because you open the door, I'm definitely going to step through it. So, it's things like that, but, and I'm going to tell you the other ones. Oh my God. The Africans are the worst. Man, Africans
Africans hate black people more than the Klan. And that is serious.
You talking about African CO?
Yeah, the African correctional officers, they hate black people more than the Klan. Right? And I'm telling you that they are horrible in there. They're especially down in Jessup and stuff like that, spots like that, and over Central Booking and you know, over Sumac, man. Then they go for bad, but then tell on you if you smack one of them motherfuckers snot out one of their mouth. You know what I mean? Snot out one of their nose, they'll tell on you. So it's like at least some of them, at least some of the blacks, maybe get enough heart because they done jumped on enough people 10 deep that they now they got the courage up a little bit. They really think that guy looked like that because of what they did. No, it was just 10 deep, right? He had most likely he had on handcuffs behind his back, but
to my correctional officers jumping on inmates.
Yeah, correctional officers jumping on inmates.
Right.
Right, and it's sad because the prison system seems to have shifted some. Because I remember one time, stuff like that couldn't have happened without being followed by a fucking ride or something, or at least quite a few police getting hurt, right? But it seemed like it done shifted some, and it seemed like these people who was abused in the past and things of that nature, it seemed like they're now, like it's like a passion for them, right? It's now, and I was me and my man, he was having a conversation before we got started, and it's an old movie, right? You know, old guys, they'll remember it. There used to be a movie called Penitentiary, right? And I never forget this, and how the young kids say no homo and none of that stuff, right? But it was a motherfucker who had been abused and had been, I guess, turned into a fag or bought out of him or whatever, right? But he was boxing a dude named Half Dead, and everybody kind of threw him in there as a gimmick. Like it was funny, right, to the rest of the prisoners. But the fact that he got in like a punch or two, he came back and told his cell buddy, "Hey man," he said, "Big Jesse, man, you should have seen me, man. You should have seen me." And he said, "I was doing this," and he immediately got up and said, "Nigga, get over here and get it fixed." Now, I don't condone shit like that in no shape, form, or fashion. I find it disgusting. But the moral of the story was, when you give a punk power, he will always abuse it. Like, I can imagine, or I can hope to imagine what it feels like to be the president. Like in the United States, like, man, you can make all these different calls, man, and like change life as you know it, right? As we know it, and it must be, man, hella temptation to turn down that, knowing that you got the power to do that, but restrain yourself from doing it. And I look at the things, my life and things I did and on the streets, in prison, you know what I mean, whatever. I never abused my power. Nobody can ever accuse me of that. I never abused my power, right? And I've made decisions where people thought was crazy. But I've always tried to make sure I had a method to my madness, or what some people like to call this madness. And I always used to, teach a lot of the little brothers that was bloods and stuff like that. I said, man, have a purpose for anything you do. Never do anything just because. Right? And I said, because once you stop doing things just because, then you'll cut the dumb shit in half. Because now you know, okay, I'm gonna wait. You'll set a set of standards for yourself, and these are just some of the lessons that I learned in prison, right? And it's like you set a certain standard for yourself in there, and it's something I believe that a lot of the younger brothers, man, should truly embrace. They, it set a standard for the shit you going for and the shit you ain't. And hey, this is just one old OG, right? Man, stop calling each other bitches, man. Like, because my question is this. You call each other bitches and bitches. What the fuck you say to this motherfucker when you angry at him then? Because the only thing I'm thinking left is dick sucker or, something to that motherfucking nature, because as a man, you should find that offensive. And the reason why I say that you should find it offensive, because even when you talk about a dog, you're referring to a female. You allow a nigga to call you a female? I know none of them real G's out there ain't. Right? And so that's one of the things I mean. Set a standard for yourself. Yo, I'm not going for this, and this is what I stand for right here. Because to me, that's what start really changing shit. Start changing shit around you. Right? A lot of motherfuckers, man, believe it or not, that we have around us every day, they dead weight. Plain and simple. And we gotta be real with ourselves sometime. And ain't on no snake shit, no slimy shit, no grimy shit. We gotta be real with ourselves sometimes. So, yo, if I really want this, that, and the third, what am I willing to do for it? Feel me? Like, what am I really willing to do for that? Right? And am I willing to say, yo, look, you ain't really got that drive and that ambition, and I'm trying to hold on to a loyalty and a friendship. But my fuck guys say, okay, at some point you gotta be loyal to yourself. Right? Because that loyalty can only get spread but so thin. So I look at stuff like that and I say, man, to a lot of young kids, set a standard for yourself, man, like good, bad, or in between. But actually set a standard for yourself, and I truly believe that it'll stop a lot of the unnecessariness that's going on both in the streets as well as the G-Wall. I believe it will stop a lot of it, because guys, unfortunately, are all over the place sometimes. Right? They say they stand for this, but when they man do it, it's 100 loopholes. I remember, man, my little brother told me this one time. I never forget this. He was joking with me, but we was in the cell. He said, man, he known for in behind the G-Wall for fighting. He get it in, right? And he don't have no losses to my motherfucking knowledge, right? So, he said, man, shit, boy, niggas know I go hard, boy, this and that. Niggas don't know how to play with me, this and that. He said, man, matter of fact, man, I'm thinking about drop my motherfucking shit and just, go hard, have a few niggas I know gonna go with me. He said, boy, you with me, bro? I said, hell no, I ain't. And I said, I'll be the first one to start rounding up the goddamn party, because, yeah, nigga, I know you can fight. So I'm gonna make sure we don't take an L in this. I'm gonna round up as many niggas as I can. And he looked at me and smiled. He said, man, that's why I love you, man. He said, and I remember calling my man Big E and telling him about it. And we laughed and laughed. I say, because if you set that standard for yourself, then these things are what you live by. It ain't no compromise. Excuse me. It ain't no compromising.
Now you said drop. You was talking about the brother. He was talking about dropping his flag.
Little brother was playing with me. He was in the cell. He playing about about dropping his flag. This is something I know that he loves this life, and I know that he really breathes it, really lives for it day in and day out. And he said it to kind of, because at first I wasn't paying attention to him, completely, because I was typing. Matter of fact, I was typing my petition to to try to get my time back. And so I'm typing that, and when he said it, and it was one of them things that he wanted to see whether or not I was paying attention. And when he said that, he knew that would stop everything. When he said that, he said, man, is you with me? And I said, hell no. And it was a no-brainer for me, right? And I love him, man, as close as one man should love another, without it being looked at awkwardly, right? So, it's things like that, man. Like I said, the prison stories. It's just like it's so many. It's so many, man. Like you hardly even know where to start. Because if I tell it from the beginning, wow, we'll probably still be talking next year. And hopefully we will. But I'm talking about every day, right? So it was so much because you have your funny parts of prison, but you had your really sad parts as well. A particular dude, man, and he had probably been a Muslim, dude out of D.C. by the name of Daryl. And before I continue, this is no disrespect to the Muslim community, so I want y'all to be sure of that. However, Daryl was a Muslim man, and he was kind of a good guy, right? So he got some dope in. And, I guess he wanted to try it, or maybe he had been doing it all along on the low. I don't know, right? But it was kind of amazing because me and him was just sitting beside each other in a rec hall talking that night right before he went in the cell. And to know that you had no time, you had no idea that the time that you seen this guy was gonna be the last time you ever seen him alive. And man, that like to know that. See, a lot of times, people experience death every day, and it affects them when is somebody related to them or somebody real close to them. But just to look around, as quick as you turn your head, you come back, and somebody dead. Man, that is such an experience. And I used to even have some of the little young brothers in there. They used to ask me and say, "Man, OG, man, how you survive this shit?" So, man, cause so many dudes, man, they done went crazy. They either crazy, they toms or they rats. I said, man, you ain't none of that, man. I said, cause that shit wasn't there be from the beginning. So of course that shit ain't gonna happen to me, right? So, but naturally, that type of stuff be sending people crazy. And I don't watch some of my friends, man. Ain't even one of them, the most hurtful, one of my friends that I had to see go crazy was a guy named Journey. Right, well, they know him from out Cherry Hill to June, but man, solid dude, man. And he the one is accused of killing the correctional officer down in Jessup. And man, it was like, this used to be my walking buddy for years. And to know him then and to see him now, man, it's like, a lot of dudes, I guess they wouldn't understand. I'm not even going to say that. Well, I'm going to say a lot of people, I guess they wouldn't understand, because it's hard to understand friendship if you never had a real friend. That's something I learned, right? In prison, right? For all those say I was in there, didn't learn anything. Um, it's like I learned real friendship in there, because it's nothing like y'all in the struggle together. Like a lot of the young G's, they say, man, they was in the mud together. Y'all in that struggle together in there, man, and it's nothing like that. And then when you see that person transform in some kind of way, or you lose them, man, it is a horrible experience. And because I don't want to degrade his memory, I'll leave it as that, as far as the condition he's in now. Because I had so much respect for this guy, right? Because, man, he was one of the most solid dudes I met, and a real true strategist, right? And I learned things from him. And I don't get to say that about everybody. I always say this, and I say it even to women. If you had somebody around you every day and you don't learn anything from them, then they are a waste of your damn time. Facts. If it's not a child, and I won't even give the younger people a pass. If you know technology and you ain't teaching it to your grandparents and this and that, you a piece of shit. I'll be real with you. You're a piece of shit, because you should have enough love for them to keep them up to speed. Right? So I'm a get ready to close this, because I think they want to ask me some questions. Now, no, not now. Okay, well, let me see other things that happen.
Let's go back to the corrections officer. You ever seen in the corrections officer actually get into it? Anybody actually jump on a correction officer?
I've jumped on several of them, but I've seen other people jump on them too. Right? Because sometimes they just don't know what to say out of their mouth, and as a man, I just can't accept certain things. Right? And I never forget it. This guy, one of my buddies was on a basketball court, and somehow him and another guy, they got into it on the basketball court, but the other guy was strapped. He pulled out a knife, and I knew my homeboy wasn't strapped, so I jumped in the way that I was, right? And at that time, I had a little reputation for swinging the knife. I had a little reputation for it. So the guy, instead of going at with me, he kept backing up and then took off and ran, because the yard was just opening up. So I chased this guy. And I didn't know at the time that the police was chasing both of us, right? So the guy ran on the section. He hurried up and closed the gates. I was so mad, I tried to even stab through the bar. And the police, I didn't know he was behind me, and pushed me face first into the bar. I didn't even know it was the police at first. It was just a reaction. I turned around because I had back then we had the CD players and stuff like that, and I turned around and smacked him upside his head with it and banged his ass about that, right? And at that time, the police kind of had a little respect for me, because they said I had a little following too, and they actually let me in the police fight. They put the guys on one side, and when the cold came, and they put them on and had them in there and let me in the police fight, right? And it was such a moment of pride, because one, I was still a young nigga, and a young brother. I'm trying to break myself out of that. But I was still a young brother, and it was like a thing where I got to fight the police without worrying about going on lockup. And to have the inmate side cheering, and then have these correctional officers, they do their best, their best impression. Man, get him, man, get him. No, this old nonsense. And it was, and I like the high character though. Believe it or not, the next day, he came in and he was sitting on my tail. I was coming in for the yard, and he had a sub in a bag and a soda. So naturally, He said, man, here, man, this for you. That's, man, I don't want that. Because I'm thinking, okay, you done did something to it, right? Because you bad because I whipped your ass, right? And he said, no, man, I wouldn't. He said, I wouldn't do no shit like that, man. He said, I respect the fact that I put my hands on you. You carried it like a man. And he said, I ain't gonna lie, you won, right? We shook hands, and that was the end of that, right? From that point on, we went back to correctional officer and convict, right? But for that brief moment, it was so rare for the two worlds to meet and have any respect. So, you know, it was situations like that. You know, one of my homeboys reminded me, the one I told y'all, a guy by the name of Onky, the one really laced my boots up in the penitentiary. He reminded me of a joint not too long ago that, and I had forgot all about it, where I had beat this lieutenant up. And once again, because he did something really racist. He was a white lieutenant. He did something really racist, but it wasn't to me. It was to a good friend of mine, and he had him jumped on and stripped, like he was trying to take his dignity, right? Jumped on and stripped and drugged through the back of the compound there. So I had to wait to get him, but I think I picked the perfect day for people who've been locked up before. You'll know what I mean. I picked fried chicken day to get him. Because I knew that, you know, sad to say that everybody was going to get the fried chicken. That's like one of the best meals, right? And I say, and I knew he made rounds. And because he was making these rounds, when he came around, I jumped on him. And it was a thing, they was so hurt because at the time it was kind of and I want people to know I'm not racist. I'm really not. Right? I'm prejudiced against those who prejudiced against me, but I'm not a racist. But at the time it was kind of all white administration, and they was so hurt, right? Because I beat him so bad they had to come get him a better vet. They charged me, gave me a new charge and everything, but I felt like I really got one back for us because they have been running rampant for a minute, and people tell me today say they changed things because now they know that somebody was willing to go the extra mile to get it done. So I guess that'll be all of the prison stories for now, but we're gonna definitely get back up. You know, in the next episode, I believe this is episode 8, so we go back to, we'll go to episode 9. So, man, y'all be cool out there. You know what I mean? Keep doing things y'all doing. Man, and hopefully y'all learn something from this. All right? Peace.
Nitty, thank y'all for watching. Nitty, appreciate your time, baby.
All right,
as always, stay blessed up. Thank y'all for watching.
All right.